John Coleus, episode 10 for the Love of the Game podcast. There goes an earbud. But we're 10 episodes in, and I'm having a blast. I hope you enjoy the content. What am I doing? I'm just sharing stories about my 50 years. It's going to be the big 5-0. By the time this airs, I'll be 50 years old, folks. I'm on the back nine. But one day at a time, as my mom would say all the time, keep going. And all the power to you. Those are some of the amazing quotes from my good mother, gone way too soon. But anything I ever told her I wanted to do, she always encouraged me. And if I would have told her I wanted to do a podcast, she would have said, go for it. Can't wait to listen to it. This is episode 10. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Johnny K and the color commentary part of the journey. Yeah, who would have thought? 15 years ago, Scott Pettigrew would call me. I was coaching in the league at that time, Junior C, and he gave me a quick call. My team was out of the playoffs. He said, hey, John, we need you to spot in for color commentary. We're short, and I need you to work with Steve Sabrin. He'll be play-by-play. I just need you to provide some color. I had no idea what it meant to do color, and what's the best way to do something? Just throw you right in. That's what they did. It was in Mitchell, Ontario, and I found out early, folks. For me, anyways, you cannot drink any caffeine on game day past 2 p.m. I did that in Mitchell, and when you combine caffeine with nerves and just a playoff hockey atmosphere, I almost bit off my bottom lip. I was stuttering. Poor Steve was looking at me like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? Damn you, Scott. How did you stick me with this rookie Johnny K? But we improved. Never-ending, constant improvement. Got better every shift, every game. And probably some of the best advice when I started back then. I was coaching in the league. And like I said, Scott was short. Needed someone to do play-by-play. Check that. Needed someone to do color. And the advice that Scott gave me was always watch the play, John, and look for something. The who, what, where, when, how. And you'll have to paint a picture for the listeners. You have to tell them what you were seeing. You have to describe it for them. You know, the size of the player, his shot. Is he going down, barreling down the left side? Is he crashing the net? All those little narratives that help the people at home vision the game. And that was a work in progress. That didn't happen overnight for me, but over the years, it has gotten better. But I spotted for the first time 15 years ago. I learned really quickly. I remember one game I was doing with Steve. It was a playoff game. And I was like, that game day, I had this idea. Oh, I want to throw this one line in. It's a little cliche. This one little line. And finally, I threw it in. And instantly, once I said it, I was like, damn, that didn't sound good. It didn't sound natural. And Steve just had a quick conversation with me after. He goes, hey, you know, it's all about the integrity of the broadcast. I didn't say anything foul or I didn't say anything, like I didn't swear, but it just didn't fit. And it was almost like, hey, look at me, I'm trying to be funny. But that's not what color commentary is. It's just providing the eyes for the people that can't be there. And Steve Sabrin early taught me that lesson, and I did not forget that. Impeccable word always on the broadcast. Someone that's listening, there's a loved one that they're watching. We never want to disrespect a player. But we also want to tell the tale of the game and what happens and penalties and goals and missed assignments, all that type of stuff. But there's a way of doing that with doing it respectful with impeccable words. So Scott Pettigrew, that was the phone call. Quick little story about Scott Pettigrew. I'd known him from my playing days, and he coached the Brussels Bulls. Greg McNeven's going to like this story. Scott was Greg's coach his last year at junior, and when I was 19 years old, we were playing the Brussels Bulls on a Sunday afternoon. It was near the end of the season, and Bulls beat us 2-1. So I had just gotten to know Scott, always a good guy. And I remember in the lobby, I saw Scott. And I go, you know what? I'm going to ask him a favor. What kind of favor was that? Well, I'll tell you. Every morning I drove to Owen Sound when I was 19 years old. I was taking law and security. And I'd listen to Naughty Scotty. Phil Main, Scott Pettigrew, CCAN X. That was the show. Around 8 o'clock, 8:30, it'd come on the air. And I'd listen. And I just told Scott, listen, when you're doing the news after Naughty Scotty, can you just throw in that the Brussels Bulls beat the Patriots 2-1. But can you also mention that Patriot winger John Collius was held scoreless? And Pettigrew laughed. He goes, okay, I'll do it for sure. Lo and behold, I'm driving to Owen Sound, just heading through Williamsford, and the local sports came up, and it's Scott Pettigrew. Brussels Bulls beat the Montforest Patriots in Sunday afternoon hockey 2-1. It was Patriot winger John Collius being held scoreless. And then there was a pause, and then he went on to the other scores, and I laughed my ass off. And the funny part, I remember I had a few friends that work at Durham Furniture. Boo Nixon, Jim Nixon, he was a 72. He was a Durham Thundercat. His dad, Ace Nixon, coached the 91 Hanover Barons Ontario team. He told me about a week later that he heard that same clip, Pettigrew with Collius held scoreless, and he spit his coffee out on break. And then he looked in the paper, the Sun-Times, and he was looking at all the stats. Held scoreless, John Collius only has 11 points. But we laugh about that story. Scotty's been great to me. I still keep in touch with him. He always has good advice for me. And when it comes to color commentary, I've just finished up my 3rd full season with CCANX. And Steve Sabrin with play-by-play, I'm going to tell you right now, he's one of the best in the business. He's polished. He cares. He knows the players. And this playoff run here, he was at his best for sure. Ryan Drury, I've gotten to know Ryan the last couple of years. And what does Ryan do well? He calls play-by-play for the OHL Guelph Storm. And during this last 60 days with the Barons playoff run, he was the along the boards guy, and he had some epic interviews with both teams. We have recordings of those. We were able to share them on our social media. And I know both teams, the opposing team and the Barons, they all appreciated the interview. Good questions, good answers, and I was just part of a great team here on the playoff run. And I'm just here to tell you that play-by-play and color commentary and along the boards, it's fun, but it's a job that we all enjoy. But it also takes time. It also, it's just like being a player or a coach. Regular season, we hook up for one game a week every Friday. It's a lot of fun. When playoffs come in the picture, things ramp up a little bit. For example, last year, we had two teams pushing in the playoffs. Of course, the Listowel Cyclones win the Sutherland Cup. They play St. Mary's in the final. At the same time, Hanover Barons are playing the Clarington Eagles in the semis. So that's when Scott Bridge, Ryan Drury, they'd split. And they'd be on CCANX, and then Steve and I were on Cool FM, and that was a great experience too. But that's how I got into the business. It was Scott Pettigrew introducing me, and then the last 3 years, I've been working at the craft. It's a lot of work, and what I've learned the most is the one thing I'm in awe when I work with Steve Sabrin is his ability to the player, the number, what's going on. And he's so good at the glance. He's great at the sheet and up and go. And I remember the one time Steve had to go offline for a second. I remember the one time Steve had to go offline for a second. So I was all alone with some color commentary. I was going to be the play-by-play guy for about 30 seconds. And holy shit, was that hard. It takes a special person to do play-by-play. I kind of alluded to it's the same as chopping of a salad blindfold. You know what? Chopping away. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm cutting my fingertips off. But that there, I knew right away that play-by-play isn't something for Johnny K. Color, I could do that. Take a breath. What do you see? Who's on the ice? Who's having a good game? What's the body language look like? How the coach is doing? Who are the officials? Where are they from? When were they born? Were they drafted? All little stories, and which will take me now to the playoff run that we're just coming off. We're near the end of May. When you watch this podcast, we'll be into June, and it's the Hanover Barons winning their second Smoltz Cup All-Ontario Championship. Their first one came in 1990. I was 15 years old. I was at the south end of the rink. I was sitting right beside the Zamboni door there. My good friend, Reggie Magwood, was in there. Every time the Barons would score, he'd ring that loud siren. That year, the Barons took a 3-0 lead in the finals, but it was Jamie Litt from the Orangeville Crushers. They stormed back. They forced a Game 7. And at that Game 7, I knew exactly where I was sitting, south end. And it was late in the period, third period, and it was Kincardin's Ian Brooks. How do I remember that? I don't know. It was Ian Brooks, Kincardine, Ontario with the winner. And then when I told Stacey Becker, who I played old timers with, he goes, don't forget, I had an assist on that goal. So did Andy Blackburn. So Brooks from Becker and Blackburn in 90 to win the Smoltz Cup. And now here we are 20 years later, 30 years later, and it's the Barons again with the Smoltz Cup. And I'm just going to take you from the journey for us as the broadcast team. It started with the Fergus Whalers. It was their second year back in the league. I played against the Devils when I was a player, but now they've come back. Jason Byer and company, Ryan Black, head coach, they've done a magnificent job there in Fergus. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with next year. But Fergus Whalers pushed the Barons to 5 games, but the Barons are just too much. Barons win in 5, and then shock in the Cruthers. And I don't want to say this disrespectfully to the Aurelia Terriers, but no one's seen the Terriers beating the Alliston Hornets. Hornets coming off a picture-perfect regular season. They lost 1 game in overtime to the Muskoka Bears. And shout out to the Veach brothers up in Muskoka there, who are a big fan of the broadcast. But Terriers win against the Hornets in 5 games. Hornets couldn't recover. Palomaki, Fuller for the Terriers were instrumental in that series. And then it was the Hanover Barons facing the Terriers. We had our first look. And for Steve and I, we've always either traveled to Alliston or Stayner. Alliston or Stayner. Now we're heading to Aurelia. Hanover Barons win the flip, lose Game 1 at home. And honestly, when I saw that first game, I'm like, uh-oh, I think the Barons are in trouble. But what do I know? I just do color. Hanover Barons storm back, win the next 4, win the series in 5. But there was an underline to that series that I want to mention. In Aurelia, there was a huge ice storm. Our Grey Bruce area, we just missed it. But all around us, probably one of the worst ice storms in the last 20 years. And it really didn't hit home till my son Charlie, Kathy, and I were heading to Game 2. We were driving there, and about Singhampton, I was like, holy cow, what happened here? Trees were down. It looked like Bigfoot or Godzilla had walked through and smushed all the trees. All you could see were Hydro One trucks at all hours trying to get power back. And the city of Aurelia was probably out of power for 3 or 4 days. And Game 2, when the Barons were traveling to Aurelia, that was the first day that all power was up in Aurelia. And the Barons made an announcement at home about if you're traveling to Aurelia for Game 2, make sure to take a non-perishable food. And it was awesome. Everyone that traveled to Aurelia had a non-perishable food. The tables were just packed. And that was a hockey moment. You know, 2 new teams facing each other in the Smoltz Cup quarterfinals. But they get together for what's more important, the well-being of people that don't have power and don't have groceries and just kind of are in the dark. But after that Game 2, it was such a good feeling. And just meeting all the Aurelia Terriers, their executives, it's just ecstatic to be there. The arena was packed. Met their owners. They were happy to have us there. Gave us a nice little place where we could set up. And Aurelia Terriers, class act, they're happy to be there. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. Now that takes us to the semifinals. And the Napanee Raiders hit home for me because that's the team that put the end to Johnny K's junior hockey career. The year was 1996. Montforest Patriots were on a three-peat of Western League champs, their 3rd time in 3 years in the Smoltz Cup semifinals, but it was the Napanee Raiders just cooking the Patriots 4 games straight. But I was there before I did the paperwork to get ready. I was looking through the lineup as I was drawing it up. I saw a name, Hartwick, and I played against a Chris Hartwick. And a couple of years ago, we connected through TikTok or Instagram because I told the story about the last game I played junior. It was a Napanee. And then I reconnected with him because his nephew plays on the team. And it was good just to meet him. I made a point of, I have a whole bunch of newspaper clippings. Go figure. Pat's gone in 4, Raiders too much for the Patriots. And I had about 3 or 4 clippings. And I also had the official game day program. And it had the Raiders lineup, had the Patriots lineup. And I met Chris in Napanee, and he took me to the Raiders alumni room. And I've never seen this in an opposing rink. I've never seen this before, but the alumni have a room in Napanee. They have a nice coffee pot there. They can brew themselves a coffee. And then up on the wall, they have all the jerseys from the past. And they have past players, players that have played higher hockey. And it's just a cool room. He took me in there, gave me the tour. So I thought it was important that I take him the clippings and the program. He appreciated it a lot. And that series, I tell you, that was a good one. And in my opinion, that was the final in the Smoltz division for sure. It went 7 games. Game 5 was pivotal. It was in Napanee, and it was the Raiders scoring in overtime. And that game, a lot of things happened in that game. I believe that's the game that Barons were up a goal. Raiders pull the goalie late. And then it was Alex McGilvery with a partial breakaway with an empty net. But we tried to make sure, as we called it on the radio, that we made sure that everyone knew there was definitely backside pressure on McGilvery. He wasn't clear-cut on a breakaway. That back-checking Raider put enough pressure on McGilvery at the last second when he shot it. It just nicked the post. And what happens? 200 feet, Raiders score, and they're up 3-2, heading back to the P&H Center for Game 6. Barons, of course, they rally at home, win Game 6. Then we head to Napanee for Game 7. And the game was close, and then Barons pulled away. But that series, in my opinion, was the final. Some standouts for me from Napanee. Ben White, their captain. He was a pillar. He led their team. He was just kind of, at times, a man playing amongst boys. Their goaltender, Logan Vale, I thought he was the MVP of the series for the Raiders. Stood on his head. And just the whole Raiders organization, we get there. We have a good spot to set up. And they were happy with the broadcast. And, the one guy came. I remember after Game 2, we walked in, and Steve and I, and this older fellow goes, "Hey, was that you guys calling the game last night?" And I said, "Yeah, that was us." He goes, "You're worse than the Boston commentators." And we laughed because they were calling us homers. But Steve just said, just let that go. We always do our best to be fair. And I let it rattle me for like 30 seconds. Then I went to the booth and got myself some Sour Patch Kids because that's my go-to, and just called the game. But everyone in Napanee, they were great. And the bus ride home after the Game 7 win, some of the Barons players, they took a sigh of relief. They couldn't party because, of course, they knew they had to start the finals in a couple days. But I had an opportunity to talk with Hanover Barons captain Ryan Calhoun on the way home. Ryan, I remember his mom and dad, Carol, Sean, bring him into the store as a kid. I'd sharpen his skates, talk with Sean hours about hockey, where Ryan's playing, and talked about what Ryan's doing for schooling. He's graduated. He's starting a business. And we just talked about all the connections you make through hockey. I told him to take a look at everyone on the bus. And it's all about networking. You're going to have these guys friends for the next 25 years, 30 years. I told him that, I connect with hockey players I've played with now. I told him that I still connect with hockey players I played with in the past. Like my insurance broker currently is Manny Page. I played Adam Local League with Manny. Would I have called Manny if I have never played a game with him? No, I wouldn't have. It's the relationships you make through sports, through whatever you do. That's what connects you, and that's what helps you with your future. So great conversation with the captain, Calhoun. A quick conversation with Kyle Maloney after Game 5. I remember I gave him a water, and he said thanks, and I said, you know what, don't sweat this one. You'll be back here for Game 7. Just trying to lift his spirits a little bit. And Game 7, he came by and goes, "Hey, buddy, you were right." So I got to know him. He's a gentleman. Just a lot of good character guys on that team. Barons, Pete Irwin, Mike Fisher did a really good job of putting that group together. Shout out to the coaching staff, Brady Anderson, Curb 6, as I like to call him, Bobby Kirby and Brendan Clayton. He's a pillar of strength on the blue line for the 81s, who had a great trip to the Allen Cup final. Brendan had broken his ankle, I think, but he was on crutches throughout the whole playoffs, or most of them anyways. But good coaching staff, great organization. Hanover Barons win Game 7, and now they're heading to the Smoltz Cup final. But before we get to the Smoltz Cup final, I want to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Stay Social. Stay social on Saturday, feel great on Sunday. For the love of God, I keep losing my earpiece, but that's okay. There's some great content here on the podcast. So, as I was saying, Stay Social, feel good. Stay Social is the brand, and Stay Social is your official sponsor of this podcast, and all the highlights throughout the playoffs you've watched on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook were brought to you by Stay Social. So, Hanover Barons, Essex 73s. It's going to be an epic battle. Hanover Barons win Game 1 at home 6-1. Sam Barrett from the Hanover Barons, own sound native. 4 goals that game. That was the difference. 6-1. Game 2 in Essex. Barons take a 2-goal lead. Essex scores with about 23 seconds left to make it 2-1. That's how it finished. Game 3, Hanover Barons shut out the 73s 4-0. And to that point, after 3 games, the 73s hadn't played with a lead in the series. Heading into Game 4. Game 4, Hanover Barons in Essex, Ontario, at the complex. They're looking to end the series. They're not looking to play for the Gates. They don't want a Game 4 on Mother's Day. They want to end it on a Saturday in Essex. And this game was special for me. I knew Steve Sabrin was dialed in. And I knew that because his opening little blurb on the broadcast, I'm going to let you listen to it, gave me goosebumps. After I heard it, I knew we were ready to go. It sounded like this.
Definition of a champion is one who has defeated or surpassed all rivals in a competition. Will the Hanover Barons be beside that definition after today, or will the Essex 73s have an answer to stretch this Schmaltz Cup final to a Game 5? The storylines being set up in our pregame show, brought to you by Westburn, Rexall, and Listowel, your source for electrical supplies. This is OHA Hockey on CKNX, brought to you by Cleaning Depot, by PBJ, more than just cleaning supplies.
I hope you like the blurb. I tell you what it takes to be a champion. The definition of a champion, Steve Sabrin with that video, really good, and that got us going. Essex 73s, Piccolo starts the scoring. He was cooking that game. The whole 73s, they look ready to go. We had a quick conversation with Tony Porosky before Game 4. We just asked him what the mindset was. I asked him, as a coach, have you ever been in this situation? And he told me a couple times in the International League, but his biggest challenge right now is to convince his team it's just one game we have to win here. Don't look at it as we have to beat the Hanover Barons 4 times. It's winning one game, and they started on time. Piccolo with the starter got things going. He was flying. After 2 periods, it was 4-1 for the 73s, and they were in charge. I mentioned on the broadcast, Essex 73 are a different animal at home with the lead. They were playing well. But what happened in the third is they got themselves into a bit of penalty trouble, and they just kind of lost the attention to deal part of the Hanover Barons. Their power play, really good. Their top 5, incredible, and they'll make you pay. Here's the clip on after 2 going into the third. Check it out.
More than life, 4-1 lead for the 73s after 2 periods of play, Johnny K.
Yeah, quite a period for sure. It's Jimenez Santiago, 8:13 in, the 16-year-old from Windsor, Ontario, assists to Crawford and Reve. 9:03, Patrick McManus from Braddock. And 14:07, Dowling from McManus. I think that 9:03 goal is a mistake. I think it was Piccolo with the deflection. We'll check after the game if that's any different. But needless to say, Essex 73s playing with the lead at home are a different animal. 20 minutes to go here. We've seen the Barons score in bunches before. How are they going to respond, Steve?
Before the third period started, I'm a big hockey gods type guy, and I'm super superstitious. And I remember Steve and I were getting ready to go on the air, and a gentleman came. He had 73's apparel on. He wasn't part of the team. He doesn't represent the 73's, just a fan. And he wanted to get my attention. He kept telling me, I guess we'll see you Sunday. I guess we'll see you Sunday. So finally, I turned my mic off, take my headset off. I said, I guess we'll see you Sunday. There's two great hockey teams out there. And and I reminded him that, CCanX, we represent the Pollock division, and we represent the team that comes out. This year it happens to be the Hanover Barons. They've had a tremendous playoff run. They're up 3-0, but we'll see you tomorrow for Game 5. And he agreed and wished me luck, and I said, I'll see you tomorrow. And then after that, let's cue the comeback for the Hanover Barons. 4:34 in, off a scramble, third period. Dukeshire below the goal line gets the puck to the captain, Ryan Calhoun. He one-times the puck in the slot. It's 4-2. It sounded like this.
There's Galbraith. Here's McCary. It gets punched loose. Here's Danny Scott to Dukeshire. Dukeshire with a shot in front. Here's the rebound. Score! The scramble in front. The puck kicked into the high slot. And Captain Ryan Calhoun makes it 4-2.
Yeah, 4-2 as they score at the tail end of a power play. A lot of havoc in the blue paint. Couple passes, but it's the rebound, and Captain Calhoun stuffs it. We have ourselves a 2-goal hockey game here. Third period, 15-26. Essex 4, Barons 2.
8:30 into the period, the Hanover Barons on the Boss Tech mechanical power play. They're cooking, snapping the puck around. It was Steve Sabrin with the epic call, tic-tac-toe Barrett, and that's exactly what happened. The puck gets to Sam Barrett. He gets his 13th of the playoff. He had 6 goals in that series, and that was the 4-3 goal, and the Hanover Barons could smell blood.
Far side, McGilvery to keep it in to Howell. Howell doesn't have a shot. Pass to Maloney. There's a shot. They score! Tic-tac-toe, Sam Barrett!
I tell you what, Barons on the power play, you can't mess with that. They have offense. This kid, Sam Barrett, first 2 games, 4 goals. Well, there's his 5th. One-timer shot, tic-tac-toe, as my good friend to my left, Sabby, played it out. Barons are within 1, 11:29 left.
8:30 in, Steve Sabrin with the call. I loved it. Tic-tac-toe Barrett with the goal. It was on the Boss Tech mechanical power play. Sam Barrett with his 13th assist to Maloney and Howell. That was on the power play. That made it 4-3. And then 10:50, the captain, Ryan Calhoun, he's on the far boards red line, enters the zone right about the blue line. He goes from left to right, basically straddling the blue line. Then he gets himself kind of turned in a 180 position, skating backwards into the corner. He holds onto the puck. Then he gets his head up and he sees a pinching defenseman. His name, Danny Scott, Stephenville, Ontario. Gives him the pass. Scott, no delay, right away, pops it into the cage. We're all tied at 4. The Barons bench explodes. Sounded like this.
Pass over to Howell. It squeezes out of the zone. He's got company. Calhoun brings it in onside. Pass back. Scott. Calhoun waits. Back shot. Scores! Danny Scott ties it up!
These Hanover Barons, I tell you what, no quit in them in the third period. The captain, Calhoun, first name Ryan, all the work below the goal line, finds a defenseman from Sebringville, Ontario. His name would be Danny Scott. One touch shot into the net. We're all tied up at 4.
The patience on that play, JK. Calhoun not taking the shot right away, forcing the goaltender down and finding Scott sneaking in.
That's a huge goal here. 9:10 left here, third period.
Lots of hockey left, tied at 4.
Now we're into overtime, and Steve asked me as we got into overtime, Johnny K, you're the coach. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit back and wait for a mistake? or are you going to get after it? And I said, Steve, I'm going to send them. Send them. No time. Get after it. Force a play. Make it happen.
You attack right away, or do you play with a little bit of caution to make sure you get things right?
Gonna send them. Send them. Get after it.
Referee's still waiting, and this is a great move from the officiating crew, Johnny K, because just making sure the playing conditions are as good as possible.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big game, and I'm taking some heat from the listeners back home. I've mentioned Ryan Hollister 2 times. I've forgotten my buddy, my teammate, my line mate, Jason Page, who was also an official, and I made him the hockey player he was in junior. So thanks for listening, Jason. We'll let you know how this ends.
And it was 10:30 into overtime. Elliot McCary from Montforest, Ontario. He was on the far side of the rink, just inside the blue line. Gets a turnover, picks up the puck, skates from his right to left. He's a left-hand shot. He does the shot pass to Dukeshire, who's going to that near post. Dukeshire doesn't get it in the first time, but he does the second, and the rest is history. 17-year-old Dukeshire pops his helmet off. All the Barons storm onto the ice, and it sounded like this.
Play back to center ice. 73s back in their own end is done. Giveaway. It's McCary. Pass out in front. They score! They score! Dukeshire! The Red Barons fly to the Smokes Cup. Unbelievable finish to this Game 4 as the Hanover Barons eliminate a 3-goal deficit coming into the third, Johnny K.
Yeah, what a comeback for this road team, Hanover Barons. No quit. It was Elliot McCary forcing the play. He gets the puck to the 17-year-old Hanover, Ontario native, Aaron Dukeshire. And the rest is history, folks, as the Barons pour onto the ice. That's one happy group out there.
Call by Steve Sabrin, one of the best. I still get goosebumps thinking about that one. And that's our epic journey on the path to a Smoltz Cup for the Hanover Barons. Their second championship in the last 30 years. And town of Hanover, they're going to be super excited. And just want to thank my partner, Steve Sabrin, for taking me along for the ride. Ryan Drury along the boards, couple professionals there. They're really good at their craft, and having me a part of it, I'm just really thankful for that. And yeah, I enjoy doing color commentary. It's a lot of fun. It keeps me in the game. And I'm just glad that you've dialed in here for episode 10 of John Colias, the For the Love of the Game podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you have a great June. And check out this last video to end the hockey season. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
And it's going to be a joyous ride home, Johnny K. A lot of smiles on the bus. Final thoughts from you on this season?
Just like I alluded to last time, it never gets old. When I see family members out there that have traveled to watch their kids play, when I see friends and buddies get in a car and they drive 4 hours just to see a pal, and when you hear people screaming like that, that's what it's about for me. And it's a love of the game that I'll never forget, and it brings back goosebumps. And thanks for bringing me along for the ride, Steve. I enjoyed every minute, and I'm so happy I was a part of it.
Schmaltz Cup championship here today for the Hanover Barons. They do it in style, climbing back from a 3-goal deficit in the third period. They win it in overtime. McCary to Dukeshire. Mark that down in your history book, folks. That's the one that clinched it. For one final time this season, on behalf of Johnny K here at the rink, Ryan Drury, won't forget about you either, our game day ops, Miles and Cooper, and everybody who's had a hand in putting together these broadcasts, thank you. And thank you for joining us for the ride for another wonderful season. I'm Steve Sabrin. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms tomorrow, and we'll talk to you in September.